that. And on the carbon price, it actually puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadian families. That's a parliamentary budget officer who says that. It's absolutely true.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
There we have Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, making fun of Canadians. Let's have a look at this again, and I've made multiple videos on this too with the carbon tax and what's going on. And that was the final statement that Trudeau made on the question of budgets don't balance themselves. That what you saw there was the final statement that he made. He just goes through his motions just like a performance artist, blah, 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 $10 a day daycare, which they say that they're not paying. It takes them 45 days to pay the daycares, and they're not being part of it. And the dental care, I don't know, 100,000 people have signed up. And then they talk about how they want to give insulin to people with diabetes. I'm not sure how many people in Canada they're like that. 1 million, 2 million, I'm not really sure. And give out birth control for teenagers. That's the main thing. But that was the final thing he was talking about. Now, the reason he's talking about the carbon tax and this guy in the privacy office is saying, in the Privy Office, is saying that he has a gag order because Trudeau's data is incorrect, which is really sad that he's not saying anything. He can't. He's on a gag order to do it. Out of 10, let's be honest, this is where it came from. 2019. See that date at the bottom? 2019, April 1st. Catherine McKenna made up that number. Our plan will also leave 8 out of 10 families better off, with an Ontario family of 4 receiving the Climate Action Incentive rebate of $307. So that's where they got it from. And then after that, a couple of years later, came the 2 reports, and that's what you see on the screen here. Oh, I see that the 2 are codes. I see that the text is going into the QR code, but those are the 2 right there. So the first one at the top is one from that everyone is looking at, liberals and conservatives. And the bottom one there is just a report that's a website. It just has a lot of numbers saying percents and everything's better, and it has no data behind it, the one on the bottom with the text going through it. So we're going to look at the one on the top there. Now this report right here, those are the quintiles that it refers to. So everyone in Canada gets put into a bucket. So quintile 5, over 133,000. I think that's a family of 4 or 2 or something, like a family. So 2 people. So, in Canada, that's actually, yeah. Maybe they have to adjust these, but it seems like in Canada now, that seems like very hard to get right now. So the second quintile, under $59,000. So under 2 is already getting, for Canada, that's tough. And quintile 1, $35,000. That's minimum wage or part-time. So yeah, that is pretty. People like that can't afford to live in Canada. Now, when we go through the report, this is Ontario data here, and what's going on is that I'll slide this over here. This is the data at the top are the dates, the quintiles. That's where you put yourself into. Now, the 800, and see on the right here, this $885 rebate. Woohoo! Isn't that great? Insert $1,363. So you pay $1,363, and then you get back the $885 for all of Ontario. This is. So you actually are paying more. But then when you break it down in the quintiles, let's have a look at that. You see here in the blue, the minus, everything with a minus is more money back. So I think this is where you're getting at. Quintile 5, they pay $135, and I think this is a year, which doesn't seem like very much. $135 in a year for all this hoopla, considering I think there's like 500 people, government people, that administer the program, and that probably costs like $500 million anyways, or a couple $100 million. So I think that's where he's getting his 80% from. The only problem is it's the net cost fiscal impact only. That's not the full picture. So I think Trudeau's talking about this one, and since McKenna, I'll flip it back here and I'll give the QR code of where that came from, since she made up this amount in 2019, you can see down here 2019, I think they're just backing into the data. As far as I can tell, they're just backing into it. I'll put it down here. Backing into the data, these numbers, that's what the blue is. But reality, the real bottom line is the orange here. Let's go through this. This is saying quintile 1 and 2, so you're talking under $60,000 a year for a family, We'll get a check. I'm not sure if the $43, well, the check over here is actually $797, but at the end of the day, this is really what they're going to get back is $43. So they're going to pay more, get a little bit back. So reality is 6 out of 10 are going to pay more. That's really what's going on here in Ontario. Now, every province is different. And that's the issue here. You break it down into province and timelines, etc. And if you go through here, 2025, which we're coming up to anyways, it's only $7 difference. So when you start going out to 2025, 2026, it just gets even worse. This is where you start getting 8 out of 10 families are worse off. Because I don't even think this $43 and $32, this quintile 2 is pretty well nothing. Like the dollar amount is all under $100 or $50. It probably costs more even to administer the whole fund. So when Trudeau is gloating about that, and it's very strange that he is gloating about that because these are people's lives that he's talking about. And I'll flip it back to a picture of him. You know what we don't know with this guy? What we don't know is he part of the treason? Like this guy is starting a tax now, the capital gains tax, and then even the carbon tax. He could be already charged with treason anyways. So him pushing this through, we think that all 338 MPs technically are guilty until proven innocent, really. And that's a whole other discussion on what's going on there. Now, if we go through each, I'll put a little pretty here for every quintile going through all of Ontario. This is the stupidity machine. Insert 1363, get back 885. Woohoo! That's supposed to be great. Next one here, as you can see, now here in the quintile 5, this is the top one, and every province is different. So you insert 2800, you get back $1,000. Those cost more. Quintile 4 here, and I put the provinces in. Insert about 1600, get about $1,000 back. So in all of them, you're paying more. This is the one where you actually get less, under $40,000 in Ontario. Insert 448, get back $689 rebate. It's $200. $200. This, I believe, is by quarter. So $200 a quarter. So that probably works out to a little bit more money. But for all the hoopla and going through, and did greenhouse gases go down? No. And this is another issue too. If you bring in 1.3 million people, they all use energy. They need to not freeze to death, and they need to use air conditioning in Canada because it's such a range of temperatures. They need it. So it will go up. Even with the construction of whatever 4 million homes, and I know a lot of people say too, it's one home a minute. That one home a day, that's 24 hours of light. That's 24 hours of light. There's only 8 hours technically in a day. So really it's 3 homes a day. I think a lot of people don't realize that there's only so much time in a day anyways for construction. So that's something that's come up a lot too. This one right here, the last quarter, this quarter, quintile 2, you can see insert 754, get back $800. So this is where it gets a little bit more on 2 quintiles that come up. So Trudeau is not looking at net cost, fiscal and economic impacts. He's not looking at this last one. He is only using this middle one, and the middle one magically happens to match Catherine McKenna's made-up number from 2019. 2 years before that report was given anyway. So it's really sad that Trudeau is gaslighting. This is the definition of gaslighting is what he does all the time. So anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And Trudeau answering that question about budgets don't balance themselves. Haha, here you go. That was his final response. And the weird thing about it is that if he believes this, Trudeau, and he mentions too, I think it was Germany, America, and Japan or something, are very strong as well. If you don't balance the budget for 8 years now, he never cared about fiscal responsibility. What's the point of even doing it for any country or any company in the world? If it means nothing and everything's hunky-dory now, what's the point of doing any of that? Strange, because that's untrue. what he's doing. And, I think those reports that come in saying Canada's net AAA triple rating is, I think a lot of it has to do that we're on the border of America, that we're in beside the biggest economic country in the world. That's the big deal. Like if we were stuck somewhere in Asia or Europe somewhere, there would be nothing. Any country that's attaching to America is the one that does better anyways. I wonder how much of that is in that whole process. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Best of goodbyes.